Yeah, this is not one to wait on. All right. Good morning, everyone. To anyone who's awake at this hour, welcome to a quick little one-shot stream. I may start doing this a little more often if I'm, have some time before I go to bed and I want to jump into Lightroom. I may start doing kind of, I'm gonna call these one-off streams where it's just we're editing one photo and then moving on. We've done it a couple times in the past, not really with a category on it, so we may try this just as a little short editing snack we can do, because I know for some people, if newcomers to the channel, sitting down to watch a 1, 2, 3 hour stream is a little daunting. So maybe a one-off 20-minute thing is easier to do. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, welcome to the channel. Like I said, tonight we're gonna do a one shot. We're gonna be doing a photo I took at the Grand Canyon back in 2017, 2018, somewhere in there. And that's the plan. For the brief time we have together, I'm Eric. If you have any comments, questions, thoughts, if you want to share your own work, that's what the chat is for. This is as much as it is my platform, I would like it to be yours as well. And the reason that I do this kind of thing is that post-processing is so hugely important to the photography process today. It's always been important to the photography process, and it's so often it's behind a paywall, or it is obscured, and you kind of just get the final result and you don't get to see kind of everything that goes on behind the scenes to make a photo that goes from something made in the camera to something posted on a website or on social media. So that's why I do this. I want this to be educational, hopefully entertaining, hopefully relaxing. Please do. If anyone who watches this at some point listens to my stuff to help them fall asleep, I've been making that joke for a while. I'm curious to know if anyone actually does it. No offense if you do. I'm just curious, so please feel free to comment and let me know. But while we contemplate that, and while you are still here, let's jump into Lightroom. So this is the photo I took at the Grand Canyon. I believe this is the Point Imperial kind of walkway. I guess let me check Point Imperial. I believe. So the view from Point Imperial is something close to this. Looking out kind of across, I know I've got a wider shot of this as well. I don't know if it's this one. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's the typical view from this main viewpoint. That's kind of the feature. I believe that's Mount Hayden. That's Point Imperial, and Mount Hayden is kind of behind it. But yeah, that's the view. And then there's a pathway you can walk down, and it is there's a path you can walk down. There's several other good views, and that's where we're going to be doing today's edit. This is here's another photo I took from here. This one was interesting because you're walking along the pathway. There's little side paths that kind of take you closer to the edge, and of course it's a national park, which means for the most part the rule not to say don't follow the rules, but for the most part there's kind of you can explore a little bit, just taking it with the knowledge that anything that happens is on you. So my brother and I kind of stepped out onto a bit of a jetty and walked to the end of that, and we couldn't make the jump to this guy, but that's where we got this shot. So anyway, several different viewpoints. Here's the photo we're going to edit. This is one that I was clicking through. I haven't looked at these in a while. The Grand Canyon wasn't one of the ones on the trip that I was immediately interested in jumping into, mostly because I had photos from Zion, which, man, if you're doing national parks and you haven't done Zion is one to not miss. It's absolutely stunning in every single way. It's one of the reasons where people say, whenever someone asks, I'm interested, says I want to visit national parks, what order should I do them in? The answer is alphabetical. You start at Acadia, and then you go through the ones you want, and then you get that beautiful 1, 2, 3 punch of Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Zion right at the end, and that's absolutely untouchable, worth waiting for. But anyway, here's the Grand Canyon. And the thing I do like, I've been to the Arizona desert a couple times. The thing I do like about it, I'm really falling in love with the colors and the striations, just the multiple levels that is built up in the rock over all the time. It's it's formed and been eroded, and just kind of the world taking its course. I'm also, if you're uh, if you've been on my stream before, excuse me. Huh, my throat was not expecting to be talking this much at 5:53. Anyway, you'll know that I'm a fan of cloud shadows and just kind of those where you can see the patches of it. So that's something else I love about this photo. Just to see the pathway down there. This is taken from the North Rim, which is the lesser visited. I'm going to start by widening the crop on this. I think this whole photo is phenomenal. I don't really think I need to adjust anything. I do need to cough a little bit. So let me mute myself for this one. Hang on. Alright, last stream it was a sneezing fit. Today it's coughing. We're just hitting everything. Actually, I don't like that idea. I don't like to know where this is going to go or where it ends. I feel like sneezing and coughing are about the extent of what I feel comfortable doing on stream. Anyway, so yeah, but the North Rim of the Grand Canyon is interesting. So there's the South Rim over there. And that's, when you think of the Grand Canyon, typically that's what you're thinking of. The South Rim is where a lot of like that famous glass bottom walkway that you can walk out over it and look down into the canyon is. It's I forget the percentage or how much more visited the South Rim is than the North Rim. The North Rim is substantially less visited. The North Rim is 1,500 feet higher in elevation than the South Rim, and where the South Rim is a desert climate, the North Rim is alpine, which is why you have, and this is like you've got your scrub trees and bushes there, but you got some evergreens there. And if you I don't think I've got them on here, but if I pull up some of the shots of the campsite that we were camping at, I mean, yeah, you get a lot more of this. A lot more you get some evergreen trees in there. I don't think I've got any shots of the campsite, but if I pulled up shots of the campsite where we were staying, it's you kind of have to know it's the Grand Canyon to know it's the Grand Canyon. You wouldn't immediately think that. Okay, but let's start editing this while I talk. All right, so already adjusted the crop. I'm gonna quickly just kind of fix my horizon. I think it's pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty close, but a little bit of tweaking is not bad. There we go. All right, so the thing. I mean, the thing about Grand Canyon photos that I do like, the ones that I'm a fan of. I'm gonna just start playing with sliders here. Clarity's not bad. Texture's gonna be a way to go. Texture's excellent. I think actually might be the better way. But I'm going to start with bringing up the shadows. I want to get some brightness into there. But yeah, the thing about the Grand Canyon is that almost all the photos end up being about the size of the thing. Like, it is a giant hole in the ground, and somewhat less than impressed with that as I am. It is the sheer size of it is impressive and worth noting. So yeah, let's bring a little bit of texture, a little bit of clarity. That'll bring out those cloud shadows a little more. I'm probably gonna do something to get this sort of little canyon here be more of a feature. We're gonna work on that. So let's see what else. Highlights. I think if I bring the highlights down even a little bit and then the whites up a touch, I'll get that. Yeah, give us a little bit of a different balance there. Blacks. Yeah, let's bring them down just a tiny bit. I like to bring them down a little bit because it gives me a little more of that contrast and gives me more of the, again, makes those cloud shadows stand out there. So when you don't, even if you aren't looking too deeply into the photo. And I've thought about with the crop on this, I could bring it down to like there. And that certainly makes the photo much more about this canyon. I may do a second version that does that. Because I do really like this composition. Actually, I'll come back to the second version because I do really like this composition. But for now, I want to do the whole thing because I really can't. Like, I really do love the scope of this. And just the sky over the Grand Canyon, where you see just layers and layers and layers of clouds, is really phenomenal. So that is something that I love to do. I've got a bunch of photos that are some of my less quote-unquote photogenic photos, but they're some of my favorites where you get stuff like this, where like, wow, I did not do this. This shot's a mess. The shot's overexposed and doesn't look great, but I'm gonna bring up the exposure here just to show what I'm talking about. Is it like you've got these magnificent clouds over here, You've got this. This is a rainstorm happening. You can see. Anytime there's weather anywhere in the area, you can see it. You can see it happening way off in the distance. So it's like, yeah, the sky over the Grand Canyon is pretty phenomenal, and worth taking a look at. This is our photo. Yes, there we go. So, I do hate to crop that out of a photo, so we're gonna stick with this for now, and then we'll adjust as we go. Do that second version. Okay, let's see. Let's work on some colors. Let's see what yellow does. Actually, that's orange. Orange is gonna bring out some nice color in the stone. I'm not sure I want to do too much of that. Yellow is gonna be one to play with a little bit. Greens, slightly present, kind of a weaker cousin to yellow. Red's going to be good if I want to bring out the texture in the rocks. I like that. A little bit of orange there. Bring up some colors. Cool. All right. Blues is going to bring up the sky. I don't really need to do much with the sky there. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see what the purples and magentas are doing. A little bit of extra basting on the stones over there, and the purples in the distance I do want to do. As long as I'm not getting too much artifacting back there. A little bit, not much. Let's pull that down. There's a tiny bit. There we go. Get a little more of that. I could take the red up here and push it toward orange. I do actually kind of like that. It makes the red stand out a little bit less, balances it a little bit more. There we go. Okay, let's come down here to our luminance panel. Running the oranges up actually really helps. We're going to do that. Running the yellows a little bit as well. Reds? No, I'll let the reds kind of stay as they are. Greens? Actually, I'm better off with the greens being darker because I'm going to darken this corner a little bit because this brightness here is drawing my eye away from where I want our eye to go. But otherwise, darkening these greens down and stuff I think is a good idea. Let's see. Blues, we could brighten that up a little bit. I'm not sure if we need to as much. Yeah, a little bit of brightness in the sky is not bad. Purples. Yeah, and let them be. And then, I guess the magentas and the purples. Bring them down just a touch, as long as I'm not getting too much artifacting back there. A little bit. Yeah, bring it down a little bit. There we go. Cool. Help us get that defined horizon so that ideally, and this photo is a little more, I don't feel my hands as an artist on you as much looking at this photo. I mean, my eyes are kind of immediately drawn down to this little corner here. And I kind of, from there, let that be my exploration point of the photo. So I'm going to do a little more to emphasize that. But for the most part, with this photo, I think my goal is to make sure that anywhere you look, you find something interesting to look at. Because that's just the scope of the photo is important in that way. Okay, let's do a little bit of touching up. Let's grab a brush. I want to get this area here. Just sort of brush that in. Bring the highlights down. Bring the whites down. There we go. Shadows down a bit. Shadows down even more. Yeah, I want to make it darker without it being out of place. There we go. Get it sort of blend in, almost turn the sand the same color as the rocks. That's pretty good. I bring the exposure down just a touch. All right. New matte. Actually, hang on a second. Let me do that again because my brush is at 50%. I think. Yep. Let's do a little more with that. Actually, hang on. Yeah, let's put that at 100%, but bring the flow down so that I can be a little more selective with this. I'm actually happy with that. I don't see a problem. Okay, let's do a new one. This one's going to be a brush. This one's going to be all the way up, and we are going to trace that river. Just that area right there. Cool. All right. I'm wondering if there's a benefit to... I'm going to go the other direction with this, actually. Let's let's delete that. Let's do a new brush mask. We go the other direction. I'm going to get everything on the side. Even that's wrong. Let's try that again. I'm gonna get the sides. I'm gonna get everything that sort of comes along the edge, and then kind of swing up from that. Same sort of thing right there, up to in here. There we go. And I'm going to brighten that up. There we go. Now I'm going to bring the flow down. I'm going to extend this a little further with a lighter brush. There we go. So now, let's see, now I can do a duplicate and invert. That's going to be the whole sky as well. So I'm going to do a subtract linear. Lets me just kind of cut a line right across this thing. I can subtract like that. I can get rid of everything here that I don't want to have. Good. And we're going to subtract with a brush. So I can get rid of the stuff on the side here. That flow should be all the way up. There we go. Just gonna basically want to get that, get the inverse, get my my canyon down there. Fun fact: I believe this is a slot canyon, which is one of the. It's not the main canyon. The main canyon kind of runs through here. Obviously, that's the wall of it. But this canyon here, running perpendicular, is a slot canyon where it kind of feeds into the main canyon. Which, not so much a problem here. In Zion, you got to know about slot canyons because when because Zion National Park is in the canyon versus being on top of the canyon. So when it rains, not that you're in danger of the park flooding in most of the areas, but some of those hikes go through slot canyons or even go up the main canyon, and it's one of those things where if there's rain kind of anywhere in the area, you can't do those hikes because they could flood at any time. So you learn about slot canyons. All right, let's see. Yeah, a little more clarity. Dehazing, do I want to dehaze this at all? No, dehazing this photo doesn't seem like the right idea. I've already done texture. I've already cranked the texture up a good bit. Did I? I thought I did. Did I do that with as a global adjustment? I didn't. Okay, we're going to come back to that texture thing. I'm going to do something with it in a sec. Because I did not touch that and I wanted to. Actually, this would be a good one to up the texture on. Because it'll draw your eye right into the middle of that. And yeah, the typical advice is our eyes go to the lightest part of the image. So make sure that's your focus. Undo. The thing that is also true, however, is your eyes go to the darkest part of the image as well. You see the lightest part and the darkest part. Light is kind of the most, like the one most often talked about, but you do go to the darker parts of the image as well. You notice them. And because this photo doesn't have anything super bright in it, maybe that spot, which I will turn down. I think the contrast of the darkness there will draw your eye in a different way. And if you're watching this on stream and want to jump in, you are more than welcome to tell me if I'm on base or off. Okay, so yeah, pretty happy with how that is looking. Let's come back to here. I could play with clarity, but clarity is not the way to go on this guy. Like, we've already played with the clarity. Let's and dehazing's too obvious. And texturing now, because I don't want to remove the texture from this photo. That's part of the thing that makes the Grand Canyon super interesting is the detailing and the texture of the rocks and everything. So I don't want to lose that. So I'm kind of an absence of having texture as an option to play with. This becomes a more interesting thing as I start working on other stuff. All right, so a quick brush on this spot right here because it is very bright. I just want to bring the highlights or the whites down. There we go. Let it still be. No, I have that exactly right. Leave it alone. Yeah, I went too bright with it. There we go. bring the highlights up just a tiny bit and then let it still sort of stand out while at the same time being its own thing. I turn the saturation up. I turn the saturation up just a hint of a touch. I don't know. I kind of like it not having that. No, we'll leave it alone. I don't need to mess with the color. I can just leave it at brightness. Again, so now I've pulled out the brightest part of the image, and we don't have anything that's clipping in here. We have a couple spots that are dark clipping, but that doesn't bother me too much because I want those areas dark. But yeah, that's looking decent. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's play with. I know we played with color a little bit. I want to bring up the saturation a bit. Not that much. Because the thing I find about the Grand Canyon is most of the photos I see of it are either monochromatic or they are. I don't know. I don't know. There's such a wealth of color there. And it's all like it's a muted palette, so it's not you're not getting neons and brights, but you're getting a lot of just really beautiful muted colors that kind of play really well together. Where you've got this kind of this reddish orange sort of umbery color mixed with this dark forest green mixed with kind of the this kind of dullish red and the purple and the blues. So you're not getting colors that are stark. You're getting colors that are all softly interplaying on this very harsh rock, and that is really that's a cool thing that I'm not entirely sure, speaking for myself, that I fully appreciated the first time I was there. So I may have to go back with this new perspective, which is kind of great. Okay, so I said I was going to do this. Let's do one where I change the crop and bring it down so we just get that one cloud. Yeah, we still get a little bit of clouds, but I want mostly just focus on have that one there. So that's the new one, and that is a better composition if the focus is going to be on this canyon. Like, I certainly agree. I like this, I really do, but this one draws my eye more. So maybe that's the one to share, and this is just the one to have and be like, yeah, that's this. It's one of those things where it's like this is the one I would put on my wall because this to me is the memories, and the memories of the Grand Canyon are the scope and the size, and I really like that. But if it's one of those like, okay, what's show me a photo that really draws your eye and engages you. This one requires a little work. This one requires a little bit of work. You kind of gotta look into the details. Whereas this one doesn't. This one is a little more kind of takes you through the journey a little bit more easily. So, I also want to check and see what this looks like in black and white. It's not as good. What this one? Is this one work well in black and white? Kind of does. There's better ones for black and white. Honestly, I feel like this one would probably be interesting in black and white. Let's take a quick glance at that. Even so, I don't know. The contrast and the color there is really a selling point, which is weird because you think Grand Canyon, you think in some ways it's the if we're talking mountainous type national parks were or natural wonders in the U.S. where the feature is look at these really big rocks. Usually going to a stark black and white is a benefit, but here not as much. This is you actually get a nice. The colors are what make the difference. I'm really happy about that. All right, let's give these guys their rating, and we'll rate this one as well because Lord knows I've done enough with that photo. I'm just give it a 2 because I do want to come back and revisit it. Maybe that'll be this week's stream because I'm looking back at these Grand Canyon photos. I'm liking them more than I remember. So that may be a well worth dipping into. But yeah, with that said, I think that's it. We're gonna call it just do a quick one shot, call it a night. I'll leave that up while I do the outro. Where usually I would come back to me. Let's just do the outro here this way. Because I want to look at that photo some more. I really like that. Oh no, we can do if we really quickly hit the backslash button, you get the before and the after. So before, after, and yeah. Anyway, thank you for being part of this. Thank you for tuning in at this ridiculously early hour for a quick 25 minutes of photo editing. This photo and everything else that I do will be available on my website for viewing and for purchase. It's twistedinnature.zenfoliosite.com. You can find me on Instagram at twistedinnature. or erichackler.com. Both of those will get you to my photography site. And as always, we have the postcards are still available. They are, 4 of my favorite places in the U.S. Where I went and took photos. They're fully mailable. You can use them to connect to anyone you want. And on the back, there's a QR code, so the person you send it to can scan the postcard and put in their zip code, and it will add their information to a map, and you'll be able to see where all the postcards have gone around the country and hopefully around the world. So these are also available on my site for purchase. They're $13 to $14. I forget exactly what the shipping cost is for a set of 5. And you can choose to get 5 of the same, or you can choose to get an assortment, which gives you 1 of each, and then a wild card that I get to throw in. So yeah, that's it for tonight. It for this quick little snack of an edit stream. Going to be doing our usual longer form edit stream probably second half of the week, so that'll be a thing to look forward to. And if you are in the Richmond, Virginia area, this Saturday I am teaching a beginner photography class. It's a 3-hour hands-on outdoor class where we're going to be learning all the some of the fun basics of aperture, f-stop, shutter speed, ISO, all the simple basics that go into cameras, but also kind of are easy to get scared of and kind of keep people away from that manual setting on the camera. So we're going to talk through all that. But yeah, so if that's a thing that interests you and you want to hear me do this hands-on in person, swing down to Richmond and we'll get you in on the class. You can go to richmondphotographygroup.com to sign up for that. But otherwise, join us back here. Be part of this. Stephanie, glad you joined. I noticed I didn't greet you when you said hello, so here I am saying hello at the end of the stream. Hope you're having a good night and or good morning, whatever end of this you're on. And yes, to Evelyn and Mia, when you guys watch, hello. You are both wonderful, beautiful souls who need to listen to your mom more. Just saying. Like, I hear things. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to come back to me for 1 sec. That's the wrong button. There we go. That's the one. So, yes, with that said, thank you very much. Thank you for joining me for this weird late hour. I'm impressed anyone watched, so that's cool. And yeah, we'll be back this week doing more photos. Who knows where we'll go. Stay safe, be well, be creative, make good art, and yeah, join us next time. I say us, man, I'm so lonely. See you guys.